Let's be honest. When it comes to intimacy, most couples never talk about what they really want in the bedroom. Why? Because it feels risky, uncomfortable, and sometimes even a little taboo. But here's the truth. What men secretly crave isn't always what you see in movies or hear in casual conversations. In fact, many of the deepest desires that fuel passion are hidden, locked away, because most guys are afraid to admit them. Today, we're breaking down the mystery. I'm going to share with you 5 rough sex moves men secretly crave, not because it's about being aggressive or reckless, but because it speaks to something deeper: trust, passion, vulnerability, and a raw energy that ignites connection. If you've ever wondered what really lights a man's fire, what makes him feel alive, desired, and completely obsessed with you, then this conversation is going to change the way you think about intimacy forever. When we talk about desire, most people assume men want simplicity, predictability, or just physical release. But the truth is far deeper and far more human than that. Men, even the ones who appear stoic, controlled, or detached, crave intensity. It is not about the act itself, it is about the emotional current that runs through it. Intensity makes them feel not only alive, but truly seen and desired. For a man, there is a profound difference between someone being with him out of habit and someone being with him out of raw and undeniable passion. That difference is what changes everything. When a man senses intensity and intimacy, it tells him more than words ever could. It says, "I choose you. I want you. I can't get enough of you." That intensity lights up the primal part of his brain, the part that longs to feel like he matters in a way no one else does. And here's the secret. It is not always about elaborate moves or endless variety or what you see in glossy magazines. It is about the energy you bring. A kiss that lingers a second longer, a sudden grab that feels unplanned, a whisper in the heat of the moment. All of these create intensity. Men may not always admit this, because admitting a craving for intensity can sound vulnerable. It reveals that underneath all the bravado, they desperately want to be desired. They want to feel that you are not just participating but consumed by them. That intensity acts like fuel. It is what keeps passion alive long after the first weeks or months of attraction fade. It is why some relationships remain magnetic even after years, while others become polite routines that lack spark. Think about this. When a man experiences intensity, it cuts through every insecurity he carried. Doubts about his body, his performance, or his worth temporarily dissolve when he feels your raw passion directed at him. He doesn't just crave the act, he craves the validation that comes with it. He wants to feel chosen in a way that is undeniable. And when you give him that intensity, it is like giving him a mirror that reflects his strongest, most confident self back to him. But here's the nuance. Intensity does not have to mean chaos or constant high energy. It doesn't mean you have to turn every moment into a movie scene. Intensity can live in silence, in stillness, in the weight of a gaze that says everything without words. It can be in the deliberate way you touch him, in the sudden change of pace, or in the way you break routine just to surprise him. Men crave this because it interrupts the ordinary and reminds them that the connection they share with you is extraordinary. Another truth most people overlook is that intensity is a form of communication. It says things the tongue sometimes cannot. When you show intensity, you're telling him that your desire is not passive, it is active, urgent, and alive, and that message creates a powerful loop. The more he feels your intensity, the more he feels free to show his own. Suddenly, both partners are feeding each other's fire, instead of waiting for the other to ignite it first. This craving for intensity is not shallow. It comes from a deep human need. Men, just like women, want to feel that their presence can evoke something uncontrollable in someone else. That's why men secretly crave those rough, passionate, unfiltered moments. They are reminders that beneath all the layers of daily life, work, responsibilities, stress, there is still a raw magnetic force pulling you together. And when he feels that force, he feels like he is not just wanted, but needed in the most primal way imaginable. When people hear the phrase rough moves, their minds often jump straight to aggression, dominance, or even something careless. But that's not what men truly crave. What they are seeking, even if they don't have the words for it, is the feeling of trust and surrender that underlies those moments. Roughness, when expressed with care and connection, is not about hurting or overpowering. It is about the unspoken message that both partners feel safe enough to let go of control and lean into raw passion without fear. For a man, the desire for something rough isn't about being reckless. It's about being trusted with intensity. Think about what that really means. If someone lets him pin them against the wall, pull them closer suddenly, or grip them tightly, what he feels underneath is not simply power, but permission. He feels that his partner is saying, I trust you enough to let you go there with me. I know you won't cross the line. I know you'll take care of me, even in the chaos of passion. That level of trust is intoxicating. It elevates the experience far beyond the physical act, because it touches something deeply emotional. When roughness is done with love and respect, it creates a paradox. On the surface, it may look primal, wild, even messy, but beneath the surface there is a structure of safety, communication, and understanding. And it is in that paradox that passion thrives. Men crave this paradox because it mirrors the duality they often feel inside. On one hand, they want to be in control, to lead, to channel strength. On the other hand, they long to know that they can be trusted with vulnerability, that their strength is not feared, but welcome. Roughness becomes the stage where both of these truths coexist. It's also important to understand that roughness is not always about what you do, but how you do it. A firm grip on the wrist, a sudden push onto the bed, even a sharp bite on the shoulder, all of these can be thrilling if they are anchored in mutual desire. What men secretly crave is not the physical sensation itself, but the emotional electricity it creates. That jolt of intensity says, I want you so badly that I can't hold back. It takes intimacy out of the realm of politeness and drops it into the realm of urgency, where every move feels alive and unfiltered. There's another layer too. Men often live in a world where they are expected to be composed, rational, and in control. In the bedroom, roughness becomes an outlet where those societal rules can be broken. It gives them permission to embrace something untamed within themselves. And when their partner not only accepts that but encourages it, it gives them a rare freedom. That freedom is part of the craving. It's not just about the physical move, it's about finally letting the wildness breathe without shame. At the same time, what men crave in those moments is not dominance over their partner, but connection with them. Roughness without trust is meaningless, even damaging. But roughness rooted in trust can be one of the most bonding experiences, because when two people surrender to that kind of passion, they're not testing limits just for the thrill. They're affirming that their connection is strong enough to hold that much energy. For men, that knowledge is as powerful as the act itself. This is why communication is so essential. Men may crave these moments, but they don't want to feel like they are crossing boundaries or risking rejection. What they long for is the balance where roughness is both welcome and celebrated, where their partner's responses say, yes, I love this. Yes, I feel safe with you. Yes, keep going. That reassurance deepens the bond, making intimacy not only hotter, but also more meaningful. In the end, roughness is really just another language of intimacy. It speaks in forceful movements and urgent touches, but its core message is always about trust. It tells a man that he is seen as strong, capable, and safe enough to hold someone in their most unguarded state. And when he feels that, the craving is fulfilled, not just physically, but emotionally, on a level he might never put into words. Power dynamics are one of the most misunderstood aspects of intimacy, yet they are also one of the most powerful tools for deepening connection between two people. When a man craves moments of roughness or intensity, it is rarely just about the physical sensation. What he is actually drawn to is the shifting of roles, the dance of power that happens when two people explore both dominance and surrender. This dynamic is not about control in the negative sense, but about creating an emotional current where both partners feel alive, engaged, and deeply bonded. When power shifts in the bedroom, it sends a clear message: I trust you enough to lead me here, or I trust you enough to let you take the reins. That exchange of trust is electric. Men often crave this because it gives them a chance to step into a role they might not fully express in daily life. Outside the bedroom, they may feel pressure to be calm, rational, and composed, but in intimate moments, they can embody strength, raw desire, and even a certain level of dominance. This expression is not about controlling someone else. It is about expressing parts of themselves that don't always get a voice in everyday life. At the same time, the opposite can also be true. Some men secretly crave the chance to surrender, to let their partner take the lead, to feel what it is like when the usual expectations are flipped upside down. In a world where men are often expected to always be in control, to always initiate, to always know what to do. There is something profoundly liberating about being able to release that responsibility. When a partner takes charge, it can feel thrilling because it disrupts the normal script and opens the door to new levels of vulnerability. This is why power dynamics, when explored with care and mutual consent, can actually strengthen emotional intimacy. They show both partners that the relationship is strong enough to hold multiple layers of expression. One night he may crave being the one in control, another night he may crave the surrender of being overpowered. What matters most is not who holds the power, but the trust and communication that allow it to shift fluidly without fear or judgment. That's where the true connection lies. It's important to understand that these dynamics go beyond the physical actions themselves. The feeling of being pushed back, restrained, or commanded carries an unspoken emotional message. I see you, I desire you, I want you in a way that cannot be contained. Likewise, when a man lets his partner take control, the message becomes I trust you with all of, I trust you enough to let go. These exchanges deepen intimacy because they strip away pretense and allow both people to step into raw, authentic roles. For men, this craving often stems from a desire to feel both powerful and vulnerable, sometimes in the very same moment. Rough sex moves that highlight power dynamics, whether it's holding someone down, being pinned, or demanding something with intensity, become symbolic of something bigger. They are not just about pleasure, they are about permission to fully embody extremes that daily life often suppresses. What makes these dynamics even more meaningful is the way they loop back into emotional security. After the passion fades, what remains is the knowledge that both partners trusted each other enough to go to those places. That trust is like an anchor, reminding both people that their connection is strong, resilient, and capable of handling depth. For men, this reassurance is often at the heart of their craving. They want the passion, yes, but even more, they want to know that their partner is willing to explore the edges of intimacy with them, without fear of judgment or rejection. In this way, power dynamics stop being about control and instead become about collaboration. Both partners are co-creating an experience that is intense, alive, and deeply intimate, and it is in that collaboration, where trust meets passion, that men find the fulfillment they secretly long for. When men think about passion, what they secretly long for is not a perfectly choreographed scene where everything looks flawless, but those moments when desire takes over and perfection is forgotten. There is something mandanic about raw, unfiltered passion, the kind that doesn't stop to check if the hair is in place or if the lighting is right. Men crave those moments where the urgency of connection drowns out self-consciousness, where every move feels less like performance and more like instinct. This is because passion, when it overrides perfection, speaks to something deeply human. It says, I want you so much that nothing else matters right now. For many men, the pressure of being perfect is heavy in daily life. They are often expected to perform at work, to provide, to appear strong, confident, and capable. These pressures follow them even into the bedroom, where they worry about performance, stamina, technique, and whether or not they're doing enough. But what they secretly crave is relief from this pressure. They want intimacy that feels alive, messy, and unpredictable, because that's where they can finally escape the weight of expectation. In those moments, they are not judged. They are embraced in their most authentic form. Moments where passion takes over are powerful because they break down barriers. When a partner loses themselves in the heat of desire, it sends a message stronger than words, a sudden kiss that interrupts conversation, clothes being torn away without hesitation, a gasp that escapes unplanned. These are signs of desire that cannot be staged. They are signals that passion is stronger than the need for control. For a man, witnessing this creates an undeniable sense of being wanted, chosen, and consumed. It's not about how polished the moment looks. It's about how real it feels. This craving for passion over perfection also comes from the hunger for authenticity. Men, like anyone else, are sensitive to whether intimacy feels genuine or forced. A perfectly timed move can be enjoyable, but what truly captures their soul is when a partner's actions are driven by uncontrollable desire. They want to feel that they are so attractive, so magnetic, that they pull their partner into a space where perfection doesn't even exist anymore. That authenticity builds confidence and deepens emotional connection because it reassures them that the bond is not based on performance, but on raw attraction. Another reason men crave these moments is because they awaken spontaneity. In long-term relationships, routines can dull the spark. Predictability can turn passion into habit, but when passion overrides perfection, it disrupts the routine. A sudden touch, a playful push, an impulsive move, these break the pattern and remind both partners that intimacy is not about routine, it's about adventure. For men, that unpredictability makes them feel alive. It makes every encounter feel fresh and exciting, no matter how long the relationship has lasted. At its core, craving passion over perfection is about connection. Men don't want intimacy to feel like a stage performance where both partners are trying to get every detail right. They want to feel that the connection is so strong, so irresistible, that nothing else matters. This kind of passion builds memories that linger because they're tied to emotions, not choreography. He may not remember the exact sequence of moves, but he will never forget the night you couldn't wait, the night desire broke through composure, the night passion carried both of you away. This is why men secretly long for moments when passion overrides perfection. It gives them a safe space to step out of performance mode and into pure presence. It makes intimacy feel less like an obligation or expectation and more like a fire that burns from within. And in those flames they find not just pleasure, but freedom, connection, and the feeling of being deeply, desperately wanted. Rough sex, as much as men may secretly crave it, is not something they want all the time. What they truly desire is balance, the thrill of intensity blended with the tenderness of care. Too much roughness without softness can feel mechanical, even draining, while too much tenderness without any intensity can begin to feel predictable. The real magic lies in the contrast, in the way passion can swing between gentle and fierce, slow and urgent, soft and demanding. Men long for that balance because it reflects the full spectrum of human connection. It shows that intimacy is not just one-dimensional, but alive, dynamic, and endlessly surprising. When a man experiences both roughness and tenderness in the same encounter, it heightens everything. The roughness creates adrenaline, a rush that feels primal and exciting. It sparks the feeling of being consumed, of being caught in a wave too powerful to resist. But when that is paired with moments of softness, gentle touches, tender whispers, slow caresses, it grounds him. It reminds him that the passion is not just about physical dominance, but about emotional connection. This combination of fire and calm creates an intimacy that feels both thrilling and safe. Men secretly crave this balance because it speaks to the duality within them. On one hand, there is the primal animalistic side that wants raw passion and unrestrained energy. On the other hand, there is the vulnerable, tender side that longs for closeness, reassurance, and love. When intimacy includes both, it allows them to embrace all parts of themselves without shame. They don't have to choose between being strong and being soft. They can be both, and both can be celebrated. It is often in the contrast that the most memorable moments are created. A kiss that starts rough and urgent, but melts into something slow and tender, lingers in the memory far longer than either extreme on its own. The unpredictability keeps the energy alive, while the tenderness ensures that the connection remains meaningful. Men crave this not only because it excites them, but because it reminds them that passion is not about one consistent speed or style. It's about the rhythm of two people responding to each other in real time, like a dance that shifts with the music of desire. This balance also plays a crucial role in trust. Roughness alone can sometimes leave men worried that their partner is only giving in to physical intensity without emotional presence. Tenderness alone can sometimes make them question if the spark of raw desire is missing. But when the two come together, there is no doubt, roughness shows passion, and tenderness shows love. The mix reassures them that they are not just desired physically but cherished emotionally. That reassurance is one of the deepest cravings men have, even if they rarely put it into words. Another reason balance matters is that it creates a lasting spark. Roughness gives a surge of excitement, but excitement alone can fade quickly if it is not rooted in affection. Tenderness gives comfort, but comfort alone can drift into routine if it is not paired with passion. The alternation between the two keeps intimacy alive over time. It prevents encounters from becoming stale and makes every experience feel new because the balance shifts depending on the mood, the moment, and the connection. Men secretly crave this ongoing freshness. It reassures them that intimacy will never become dull or lifeless. In the end, rough sex craved in moderation becomes part of a larger picture. Men don't just want to feel the thrill of intensity. They want to know that after the storm comes calm, after the fire comes warmth. They crave the balance that allows them to experience passion as a complete spectrum, not a single note played on repeat. This is what makes intimacy feel alive, real, and endlessly fulfilling. Communication is the bridge that turns fantasy into fulfillment, and this truth is especially clear when it comes to intimacy. Men may secretly crave rough sex moves, but what they desire even more is the reassurance that they can express those cravings without fear of judgment or rejection. Too often people shy away from talking about their desires because they think it will make them seem strange, demanding, or too much. But when there is open and honest communication, those secret thoughts stop being locked away and instead become opportunities for deeper connection. For men, this is a craving that goes beyond physical satisfaction. It is about being understood on a level that feels rare and intimate. Many men hold back from speaking their fantasies because they fear it will change how their partner sees them. They may worry that asking for something more intense will be misinterpreted as disrespect or aggression. They may fear that revealing vulnerability, such as wanting to be taken over or letting go of control, will make them appear weak. But when communication is present, those fears dissolve. A simple conversation, a gentle check-in, or an invitation to share openly can transform secrecy into trust. And that trust makes intimacy not only safer but infinitely more exciting. Communication also removes the guessing game. Instead of trying to read signals, instead of wondering if a partner wants more or less, rougher or softer, communication creates clarity. This clarity does not kill passion, it fuels it. When men know that their partner has said, "Yes, I want this too," it liberates them. It allows them to dive into passion fully without the hesitation that comes from uncertainty. That confidence amplifies desire because he no longer has to hold back or second guess. He knows he is wanted in exactly that way. What makes communication so powerful is that it's not limited to words. Of course, conversations outside the bedroom are vital for setting boundaries, sharing desires, and making sure both partners are aligned. But in the moment, communication can be as simple as a look, a sound, a change in body language that says more or slow down. Men crave this because it allows them to adjust, to respond, to co-create the experience instead of guessing at it. That ongoing feedback is what makes intimacy feel alive and connected rather than mechanical. Communication is also the foundation of safety. Rough sex moves by nature carry intensity. Without communication, that intensity can create doubt or fear, but with communication, it becomes liberating. When men feel confident that their partner will speak up if something doesn't feel right, they can give themselves fully to the moment. This reassurance allows them to lean into passion without worrying about crossing a line. That freedom to express desire while knowing there are boundaries in place is one of the deepest cravings men have, even if they don't say it out loud. Beyond safety, communication deepens intimacy because it reveals hidden parts of the self. When someone opens up about a secret craving, they are offering a piece of their inner world. For a man, being able to share those hidden parts and having them not only accepted, but embraced, is profoundly affirming. It tells him that his partner wants to know all of him, the strong, the vulnerable, the wild, the tender. That kind of acceptance is one of the greatest aphrodisiacs, because it turns intimacy into a space where nothing has to be hidden. The beauty of communication is that it turns what could be a secret fantasy into a shared adventure. It changes intimacy from a place of silent desires to a playground of exploration. Men crave this because it means they are not alone in their wants. It means their partner is not just present, but actively engaged, co-creating a passionate connection where both voices matter. And in that space, fantasy becomes reality, and desire transforms into a bond that is stronger, deeper, and unforgettable. Here's a short and powerful conclusion you can use to wrap up your entire speech. At the end of the day, intimacy isn't about tricks, techniques, or performing perfection. It's about connection. Men may secretly crave roughness, intensity, and power, but what they truly long for is the trust, the balance, and the communication that make those desires safe to express. When passion is allowed to override perfection, when roughness is balanced with tenderness, and when honest conversations turn fantasies into reality, that's when intimacy stops being routine and becomes unforgettable. Because in the end, it's not just about what happens in the bedroom, it's about how deeply we allow ourselves to be seen, desired, and loved.